It's game week. Nebraska is taking on the number 4 team in the land, the Ohio State Buckeyes, in a bounce-back opportunity for both squads. So in today's video, I'm going to preview that matchup. What does Ohio State bring to the table? What does Nebraska need to do in order to win this football game, or at least stay competitive in everything else you need to know? So really quick, we have a massive video for today. Hey, if you're excited about watching football this Saturday, I know I am, hit that like button. And hey, if you're new to the channel or it's a returning viewer, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I post Nebraska football content every single day through thick and thin. So if you're a diehard Husker fan, make sure to subscribe. You will be thanking yourself that you did. But without further ado, let's get into it, previewing this matchup. Nebraska versus Ohio State in Columbus, Ohio, 11 a.m. kickoff on Big Noon. Man, this is a big-time matchup for both of these squads. Nebraska, of course, coming in after a loss to Indiana. Ohio State coming in after a bye week. They recently lost to Oregon. So Ohio State, they're number 4 in the country. They're 5-1. Their head coach is Ryan Day in his 6th year with Ohio State. And I'll give credit to Ryan Day. He wins against poor opponents. But when it comes to these big-time ball games, when he plays ranked teams, he cannot get it done. And he's not the guy at Ohio State. I truly believe it. But in a game like this, he's had a lot of success. Let's get to Ohio State's offense because it is one of the best in all of college football. Their quarterback is Will Howard, transfer coming in from Kansas State. Throughout 6 games with the Buckeyes, he's had 1,500 yards, 14 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. He's been pretty good for them this year. No question about it. He's been more of a pocket passer than in the past, but he still has the ability to get outside the pocket, make something happen. I don't think he really moves the needle for Ohio State. He's not elite. He's not a CJ Stroud, but he is a darn good quarterback and honestly a big concern for this Nebraska defense. However, I wouldn't say he's better than Curt or the guy we played last week. The running back core for Ohio State, let's call it what it is. This is the best running back core in all of college football. Their head man is Quinshon Judkins, transfer coming in from Ole Miss. I mean, his highlight tape is just fun to watch. Super fast, super shifty. He's doing just about everything. Hurdles, jukes, spin moves, taking every single run to the house. He can do it all. He's had 500 yards this year, 7 yards per carry, and 6 touchdowns. But not only him. They still have Travion Henderson in this room. He's been there for a long time. Still a really fast back, but he's more of an every down type of guy. He's bigger, and he has 400 yards this year, 8 yards per carry, and 4 touchdowns. So they're going to try to establish that running game early. Can Nebraska stop it? We will see. The receiver core is pretty darn good too. They're led by Jeremiah Smith, true freshman, who's one of the best receivers in the country already. He has 600 yards, 7 touchdowns, really, really good hands. I mean, unbelievable. He's making one-handed stacks already, really good speed. He is a special talent. He's a future top 10 NFL draft pick. They also have Emeka Egbuka, former 5-star in that room, who has 500 yards, 6 touchdowns. Carnell Tate, who's 6'3", who has 200 yards on the year, and a bunch of other 5-star talents who are backing him up. So good receiver core. Ohio State's known for that. That's not something that's different this year. Rounding out their offense with their offensive line, it's as good as you'd expect. They have a top 5 run offensive line in the entire country, and they have a top 10 pass pro offensive line. They only give up around 0.8 sacks a game. So really good offensive line. They're going to try to push back this Nebraska defense. All in all, Ohio State's offense, pretty incredible. 5th best in college football. They average 44 points per game and 300 yards. Yeah, that's about as good as you can possibly get. Now, Nebraska's defense, besides last week, has been pretty darn good at slowing down some defenses. We'll see if they can do that against the Buckeyes. Let's get to number 4, Ohio State's defense, because this is an even better unit than their offense. As crazy as that sounds. They have the 2nd best defense in college football, only giving up 11 points per game. Their defensive line is headlined by JT Tuolumau, who has 3 sacks on the year, former 5-star. They also have former 5-star Jack Sawyer with 2.5 sacks. And then nose tackle Talik Williams, who has 1.5 sacks. In total, they're 15th in the country in sacks per game, averaging around 3. And they're also 4th in running yards given up per game, with only giving up 87. So that defensive line, about as good as it comes. They're going to try to get to Dylan Raiola early and often. Their linebacker core, pretty phenomenal. They're led by Cody Simon and Sonny Styles. Really, what pops off on film is how athletic they are. They're just so athletic, super fast, flying all over, and they're going to really make their names in the run game. Rounding out their defense with the DBs, what do you know? Pretty good as well. Caleb Downs, transferred from Alabama. He's a sophomore. Denzel Burke, who's a perennial first-round NFL draft pick. They have Lathan Ransom starting at safety, who's just a really good all-around player. They have a top 10 passing defense in the country, only giving up 165 yards per game. Yeah, it's a good defense, man. Really, 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 really good defense. So Ohio State, the number four team in the country, good offense, good defense. People said throughout the offseason that this is one of the best rosters ever constructed in the history of college football. They're paying over $20 million in NIL for the guys currently on the squad. Nebraska has their hands full. How does Nebraska win this football game? Actually, I'm going to rephrase that question. How does Nebraska even stay competitive in this ball game? Because odds are Ohio State's going to win. They opened up as a 24-point favorite. How does Nebraska keep it a ball game, potentially even take one away from the Buckeyes? Because the Buckeyes aren't perfect. They lost to Oregon and they struggled against Iowa. So Nebraska does have an opportunity. Number one, this offense just point blank needs to figure it out. Okay, Marcus Satterfield needs to call for his job. Because I don't know if you know this, but Glenn Thomas is another offense coordinator on this coaching staff who's had a lot of success calling plays in the past. I'm just saying. If Marcus Satterfield can't figure it out, if I'm Matt Rhule, I'm going to Glenn Thomas and saying, hey, maybe you should call plays the rest of the season. So this offense needs to figure it out early for Nebraska. They need to put up around 28 points in order to win this game, be competitive. You're going to need to score a couple touchdowns. You cannot win this football game only putting up 14. Easier said than done. Number two, this defensive line needs to show up for the Huskers. Jamari Butler, Nash, Ty Robinson. Get to the quarterback. That's the easiest way to disrupt their game plan. Get to the running back. It's a hard task. It's a hard task. But I truly believe on paper, this is one of the better defensive lines in the country. I believe they have an opportunity to show up. We'll see if they do just that. I'll tell you what, Ohio State's offensive line struggled a little bit against Iowa's D-line in that first half of that ball game. So Nebraska can do it too. Number three, Raiola needs to play with a chip on his shoulder because he's been bad the last 3 weeks. He was bad versus the Boilermakers. He was bad versus Rutgers. He was bad versus Indiana, no question about it. Okay, and we know he's a good quarterback. We know he's good arm talent. He needs to prove the doubters wrong. You're on national television again, man. Everybody in the country is not expecting anything of the Huskers. Play with the chip on your shoulder. Go out there and ball out. Let's see what you got, Dylan. Number four, Nebraska needs to come out of the gates hot. You got to start with the ball in your hands or get a stop, then get the ball in your hands. You got to go down and score points, preferably touchdowns. Start hot. Ohio State started slow in the past couple games for them. Okay, they started slow. Nebraska's actually had success starting hot, at least to begin the season. So you really, really need to start hot, get a touchdown, make it competitive from the very get-go. Number five, just never give up, man. This is a tough game. Nobody's expecting you to win. Just never give up. Give it your all. Practice hard. It starts on Monday, then on Tuesday, then on Wednesday. Practice at an elite level. Prepare. Feel confident going to Ohio State. We'll see what happens. If you go into this game thinking you're going to lose, you've already lost. It's over. That's the mindset of a lot of Scott Frost teams. They went into ball games thinking they were going to lose, and they did just that. You can't have that mindset. Go into every game thinking you're going to win. Be confident. Never give up. Play with your hearts on your sleeve, and we'll see what happens. All right, guys. That is my scouting report of Ohio State, my preview of that ball game. As always, I'm going to save my predictions until Friday, but let me know down below what your thoughts about this ball game. Do you think Nebraska can be competitive or even win? Let me know in the comment section. Hey, if you made this far in the video, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. And as always, folks, go be grad, go Matt Rhule, and see you in the next one.